Okay, now here comes the really cool bit. We are going to make our chevrons here with these little open eyelet details, which just gives this bag a nice lacy but classy kind of motif. So after our 4 rows, we should now be on the front side again, and for your chevrons they will work back and forwards. It doesn't matter about front side, back side at this point because the pattern is the same on either side. But at this point you should be on the front side of your work with 3 lovely ridges and 4 rows total. So what we are going to do is we start off with a chain 3, just as usual. 1, 2, 3, and this counts as our first stitch. Now, like I said, because you end up creating extra stitches in this pattern, you need to have a way to kind of remove them so that your pattern grows straight instead of kind of out like that. Because if you don't check your chevrons, they will run amok. So what we do is actually our first stitch, or first 2 stitches, is what we call a decrease, and this is a really simple decrease. It's basically 2 stitches, but they count as 1. They're worked together, so this it's usually written as 2 TOG. So the name of the stitch at the front, and then 2 TOG, and so that means 2 together. So this is the US double crochet 2 together, or the UK treble crochet 2 together. So the first thing we do is we basically do half a stitch. So we yarn over, and we're not worrying about front loop, back loop anymore. We're going under the whole stitch. So we go under that V, making sure we get both those loops. We yarn over and we pull through, and we have our 3 loops as normal, and we yarn over, but we only pull through 2 of them. So we basically have done half of our US double crochet, UK treble crochet. Then what we do is we do another half in the next stitch. So we yarn over, we go under the entire V, yarn over, pull through. Now we have 4 loops, we yarn over, pull through 2 of them, and we have 3 loops. And we yarn over and we pull through all 3, and that completes 1 whole stitch. So from the side it can kind of look like 2, but it's actually 1, which is why I always say we need to count at the top for our V. So we only have 1 V because it's 1 stitch. Now we're going to yarn over, we're going to do a full stitch, yarn over, and another full stitch. So that's 4 stitches all together. So we have 1, 2, 3, and don't forget our chain 3 always counts as a stitch. So we have 4 stitches here, even though it looks like 2. Even though it looks like 5. One of them is just a bit clumper. She needs to lose some weight. That's all. So you can see here in my bag that every row we do this on both ends of the row. So we have, this is our chain stitch hidden in here, and this is our 2 together stitch, and then 1, 2 regular stitches, and that's every row we're going to do that. So the next thing we do is we chain 2, and this is going to help create our little eyelet, and then we yarn over, and now we're going to do another stitch in the same space as our last stitch. So we yarn over, we go into that same space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, 2. So now it should look like that. So we have 2 stitches in one space, 1 regular stitch, 2 together, and then our chain, and then our little chains up here. And you will see it's exactly how it is here. So these 2 stitches are always together in the same space, and that creates that little eyelet detail. So then our next stitch, we yarn over, one, and we're going to do 2 more. So we should always have 4 stitches. And now we want to create the bit. So our eyelet kind of makes it go up. Now we want to create our eyelet that makes it go downward. So to do that, we skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then we work a stitch in the 3rd stitch. So yarn over, go under that V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So we don't chain anything, we just skip 2 stitches, and that creates this kind of, I forget what that shape is called. It's not quite a square. It's wider or what? Somebody tell me in the comments below what that's called. It has a name. So we skipped 2, we made a new stitch in the 3rd stitch, and now we're going to do 3 more stitches. So that we always have sets of 4 in between our little skips and 2 stitches in one. So now we have 4. So now we want to chain 2. So always on this 4th stitch we chain 2, yarn over, and then we go back into that same stitch with another stitch. Oops. And then we do 3 more. Oops. Always make sure you're getting under that V. Actually, even though you would think the lens would magnify it, but it doesn't. It's actually harder for me to see a bit sometimes when I'm filming. Yeah, so we just keep going. Okay, so we have another set of 4. So you see how it's shaping up now? So we should have these little eyelets here and our little whatever square things, and then another eyelet, and it just keeps going like that. So we do 4 eyelet, 4 square, 4 eyelet, and now we're going to do another square. So we skip 2, so 1, 2, and we work a stitch. Oops. So we skip 2, 1, 2, get that 3rd, yarn over, in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we just keep that up, and then we do 3 more. And you're going to do that all the way down the row. So you should end up with, should we count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sets. So you should have 4 stitches, an eyelet, 4 stitches, box. So you just repeat that all the way down the row, and then I'll show you the decrease again at the end, because you need to do it always at the beginning of the row and at the end of the row. So at the end of the row, you should finish on an eyelet so it matches the beginning of the row. And you should now have 3 stitches left. So we're going to do our decrease again, just like we did at the beginning. So we yarn over, we go into the V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's half a stitch. And then we yarn over and we go into the next stitch. We go into the V, yarn over, pull through. We should have 4 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2. We now have 3. We yarn over and we pull through all 3 loops. So that's 1 stitch. And then we just have our last stitch at the top of the chain 3 from the row below. So we just go into that. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And it matches our front stitch. So we should have 4 altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, and then our little eyelet. So then when we turn our work, it's really important that you always do the decrease in the same place, because that will keep your bag from the stitches from pulling too much in weird directions if you do them in different stitches. So we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're essentially just going to do everything we did before. So we yarn over, we do half a stitch, yarn over, and do half a stitch, yarn over, pull through 3. So now we have 1, 2 stitches, and we put a stitch right here next to our little eyelet. So we have 3 stitches, and now for our 4th stitch we're going to go into the eyelet. So we yarn over, we go into the space under that chain 2 we did, yarn over, pull through. We have 3 loops just like normal. We complete our stitch, and then we chain 2, yarn over, and then we put our next 3 stitches in the tops of the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, so we have 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we skip 2. So we skip 1, 2, and we go into that 3rd stitch. So we've just created our box on top of our box. And that's all there is to it. And just keep going. So now we do 3 more. and then we put that 4th stitch into the chain space from the row below, chain 2, and then complete our little eyelet, and there we are. And that's your repeat row. So you just want to continue this until you have 20 of our chevron rows all together. So there are 20, and then I will show you how to do the top. The top is essentially a kind of repeat of the bottom. I will show you how to make the handle, and I will show you how to finish off the piece so that it's all sewn together. We're actually just going to crochet it together. You will need a tapestry needle for the very final sew-in. So get a yarn needle or tapestry needle, and that's just for the very last sew-in, but we will crochet in all of our ends as much as we can while we're doing the edging.